Hello and good morning and welcome to Thoughts and Updates. I'm here in my back garden just across from the Canal Festival, which has had a bit of a torrid week because it's been very wet and it's been raining up here quite a lot, and they have a week of activities that they put together. I know how difficult it can be. I was part of the Air Festival for a long time, or September, and the festival will be run by volunteers, and they'll put a lot of planning and a lot of energy into putting together something that they'll hope that will keep people coming, and they will remain solvent. They'll do a really good job, and they do generally, and I really take a lot of things from that in terms of volunteering, and that's something that's been a theme this week, that I've noticed the idea of volunteering and just exactly how valuable it can be. So they've had a wet week. Last night was the fireworks, which is just set off next to us at St Ninian's High School. So we had a couple of people over who are Kieran's friends, because this is the last Kirkintilloch festival in a sense for him, because this month he has found somewhere in London to go and live, and he's going to go by the end of this month down to pursue his career as an actor down there. So it's a kind of bittersweet month for all of us. He's ready to progress and move on, and we're ready to wave him cheerio, not because we want rid of him, but because we recognise that's the stage he's at, and he's ready to move on. Sad though that he goes, because it'll be a different place at the house without him. However, he also yesterday was off protesting in George Square. There have been protests all about the country because of what's happened in Westminster and the Boris Johnson government proroguing Parliament. Now, here's the thing. People think it's unconstitutional. It's not. People think it's highly unusual. It's unusual. It's not highly unusual. The last time for a reason similar to this that it was done was the 1940s, when Anur and Bevan did it because the House of Lords refused to pass bills that limited their powers. We go further back. I think 1909 there was a threat used by Lloyd George when he was Chancellor to get through the beginning of, in fact no, it was the Liberal government, because they were attempting to get through their budget, and that included the creation of the pension. So there are national reasons for proroguing Parliament or threatening to so do. This time, normally about September, it's conference season, and because one political party in the House of Commons would be in Brighton or Blackpool or wherever they were going to be, often what would happen is that they would suspend sittings of Parliament so that the business would not be debated whilst one or other major party was away for that period of time. That's normal. Proroguing Parliament does something a little bit different, and this is why I think it is a problem. Most people see the House of Commons in that funny chamber where 658 members of Parliament can't squeeze in all at the one time, where they shout and they scream and they bawl, and there's a man called John Bercow, who's the Speaker, who tries to keep order in the middle of it, as being Parliament. It's not. That is part of it. That has become an important media part of it. It's not where the real work is done. The real work is done in the committee rooms, where every bill is taken line by line and scrutinised, not once but twice, but many times. And that is what we've lost, and that's the problem. It's not them sitting in the Houses of Commons screaming and bawling and shouting at each other. It's not the debates. That, in a sense, we know what people think. We know how people are going to vote. We know that when it comes to it, but that any deal that's put on the table that includes the Irish backstop is not going to get through. We know that the majority of members of Parliament are not in favour of no deal. We know that already. The debates are immaterial. What's missing is proroguing Parliament shuts it down. So there's no line-by-line scrutiny, there's no committees, there's no nothing, there's no ability actually to recall Parliament in an emergency because it's prorogued. It also means that after the Council of Ministers meeting in Europe on the 17th of October, there are 14 days to vote on a deal. You don't have 14 days to vote on a deal. You get 14 days to say, that's it, or we're just leaving. That's not an option. That's not a choice. Not with proper opportunity to scrutinise, to go through, and to make sure the biggest constitutional change to the United Kingdom that has happened in my lifetime happens properly. So that, for me, is the reason why it is wrong. Now, one of the biggest issues and problems that has happened for the Conservative Party is the resignation of Ruth Davidson. Ruth Davidson was a major figure. Ruth Davidson took the Conservative Party in Scotland and made them electable. They weren't electable before. They were struggling to find people who would vote for them. And they now have a number of MPs and a number of MSPs. And Ruth Davidson has changed the look of the Conservative Party in Scotland. And done so because she's gay, done so because she's modern, done so because she has the vitality and the energy. And I don't hold by this whole thing to do with she's resigned because of Boris Johnson. She's resigned because she's become a new mum. She's finding it hard, she's finding it difficult, and she needs to spend time at home. That to me is one of the cod 1980s. Every time a minister resigned to spend more time with his family, it was because he'd been caught having an affair. And it therefore becomes something that people can scoff at when it's given as a proper and correct reason. But on this occasion, I do think that it's true. But I do also think that she would have stayed on for a period of time till they found a successor. I do think it's true that what happened with the proroguing of Parliament and the election of Boris Johnson when she didn't back him has made the decision easier. Tough times. This week, sport. I'm doing two things for Ringside Report this week. Jose Napoles is one of them and Johnny Davis is the other. Johnny Davis fought once for a world title, and Jose Napoles won a title and defended it and then lost it. So these are two very different fighters. Jose Napoles lost his life recently, which is a kind of interesting story in itself. In his 70s, a Cuban who, because of Fidel Castro's decision to ban boxing, had to find somewhere to go and found asylum in Mexico and fought from Mexico and became a Mexican hero, partly because when he won the world title, of course, he wore a sombrero at the end. So fascinating opportunities once again to go back into the history of some of the fighters. And Brad Berkowitz, please subscribe to his video YouTube channel. He has always sent me really interesting characters, and these ones are no different, absolutely no different. In terms of boxing over the weekend, what a bill. Matchroom last night, what a bill. I did the old-fashioned way. I stuck these in my ears and I listened to Mike Costello on the BBC. I love radio in terms of painting a vivid picture of what's going on, and that was fantastic. Also in Sky, Andy Clark for me is the best of the best of the best in terms of commentators, because I know Andy, and also he knows the fighters and he knows them very, very well. He tends to do the undercards for Sky, and it's the right place for it would be. He knows Lomachenko inside out, he knows Luke Campbell inside out, but what he also does is he knows the undercard fighters, and he's been to their gyms and he's talked to them and he's interviewed them, and he was great last night as well in the undercard. But Hughie Fury, Cal Frampton saying afterwards that was a stupid fight to take Alexander Povetkin. 3 massive fights for Fury, 3 massive freezings. Parker, Pulev, and now Povetkin. He just didn't become aggressive enough, and that can be an issue for one fight. It can be a problem because it's 2 fights, now it's 3 fights. What's happening to his career? Well, drawing board is going to be a very well looked at place, because if Peter Fury can't make that kid really fight, he's not going to go anywhere. Charlie Edwards, who would have thought that VAR would work in boxing? The WBC and Maurice Sullivan coming on to say, we've looked at it within 5 minutes, seconds. We've looked at it, and you know what? Edwards was hit when he was on the floor. That's why he couldn't continue. It's a no contest. It should be a disqualification. Eddie Hearn's right, but you know what? We'll take that. And there's an immediate rematch being ordered. So he's going to keep his, I'm being attacked by a wasp, he's going to keep his world title, which in terms of what has happened is a really interesting sort of element to go together with the football. Now the football this weekend, Ayr United went to Firhill for Thrills, 1-3-2. Partick Thistle were reduced to 9 men. What a fantastic game to miss. I also wrote back for the first time in a wee while for the Scottish Football Supporters Association, looking at takeovers. Ayr United have been very lucky over the last 10 or so years because we've been owned by one family, and the son has refused to sell Ayr United. He wants to sell Ayr, but he's refused to sell it until he's absolutely convinced that people taking over will be able to run the club properly. That's not been the case for Bury Football Club this week, who've been kicked out of the English Football League. Bolton Wanderers got there just, it would appear, in extra time. For the Ayr Advertiser this week, I wrote a column on tribute bands because somebody on my Facebook had opined that the Gaiety was filled with tribute bands, which was a bit of a shame. It's not why they want to go to the Gaiety, they want to support theatre. 10 tribute bands in 2 months, September, October, I think I counted, or tribute shows. It's very, very difficult to go back to the volunteering for things like the festivals. Gaiety's run by volunteers. They need bankers, they need stuff that's going to come in and fill the place, sell tickets. People are going to pay at the bar, and particularly tribute bands, that can be a big earner. A couple of initiatives this week which I have been looking at and talking to. It's good luck this week to Chris Taylor. He's out on tour. What a fantastic time. Keris, my daughter, was down, she's in hip shot on Saturday morning, did a wee video to say well done. Chris is off to film a wee thing today. He's doing Singing I'm No Billy, he's a Tim 2, which starts in tour, starts at home at the Gaiety in Ayr and then goes on. Part of the things that I didn't say to the Gaiety, I didn't write about the Gaiety in my column, was the cost of hiring. And I know that taking Singing I'm No Billy, he's a Tim to the Gaiety is a big thing for Chris, and maybe it would have been better to take it to the Palaces. He's taking Hipshot because the cost at the Gaiety can be very prohibitive now, which it needs to be in a sense because they've lost Creative Scotland funding, but by the same token it's homegrown, blah blah blah, and on it goes. Big debate for another time. But Chris has taken a big gamble, and there are lots of people out there who talk a good game in terms of the theatre but don't do anything. Chris has taken the bull by the horns, so a proud moment for him and for those who know him, so good luck. Also spoken this week to another Chris. Chris Kane and I worked together on his initiative looking at commentary on what was at the time the First Division, is now the Championship in football, called Kick Talk, and we've been talking for a wee while about working on a few things, and we've come up with a series of 6 or 8 podcasts, and we're working hard on how the podcast will look. And we had a video meet this week. We'll have another one very, very shortly, and we've started to put meat on the bones, and I have to say it's looking pretty good. So news of that will come out, and we're going to start in the next couple of weeks to record stuff and put that stuff together. So looking very much forward to that. And I'm going to finish with something that does my nut in. I spoke about the filet of fish that McDonald's do, not the fillet, it's the fillet of fish. Anyway, I drink espresso, that's espresso, not espresso, it's espresso. I prefer a ristretto, but you know, as a coffee snob, I have to accept that ristretto hasn't really cottoned on to some of the major chains. Only I think in one can I find it, which is Caffè Nero. However, when you go in, a double espresso or a doppio is what I'll drink. And quite a few of the coffee selling chains and independents will have up on the board either it's a large or a double. And when you get it wrong, so when I go in and it says large and I say can I have a double, it's the first question I get asked, is that a large? Really? Or when I go in and it says up on the board double, and I say can I have a large, and they go, is that a double? First world problems. See you next week. Bye for now.